Having said that, let's start the lesson of counterpoint. Today is a big day, huge day, because we're going to see the third pieces of counterpoint. These pieces is very interesting because we start to see the concept of called prolongation. Yeah, that's the concept of embellishment as well. So far, it was just vertical consonances. Then in the first pieces, which brings the structure of the piece. Then you have the introduction with the second species of the concept of voice progression, yeah, of directional motion. And this with the passing note, of course. Yes. Why? Because you have consonants, dissonance that creates what does the dissonance create? Let's see if someone wants well to weigh in there. Yes, Georgios.
Instability.
Exactly. Hence movement. Consonances don't generate movement. Dissonance do. Yeah, so that's why when you say dissonance are bad or wrong, no, dissonance is just movement generators. Yeah, especially the tritone, which is the most unstable one. Yeah, and why? Because you need the resolution. Yes, so that's why from point A to point B. Yes, it brings movement. Or what in music we are talking about directional motion. Yes, remember we have three stages: stability, local activity, and this in this local activity we're going to start seeing the third pieces in which we prolong one note through embellishment and neighboring notes, etc. Now we're going to see it, and then directional motion. Yes, a good example of this is the second species. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Third species introduction. In these pieces, we will cover the relation between four notes against one. Although we could use any note values, we will determine the use of four crotchets or quarter notes against a semibrieve or whole note. Yes, in fairness, yes, you can use four semiquavers as a crotchet, four minims against a breve, whatever. In this case, remember, we have a 4/4 time signature, four crotchets against a semibrieve. The rhythmic organization in this piece is strongest where the third and fourth crotchets are placed on the weakest part of the bar, providing a binary division of the bar strong, weak into two minims or half notes. This division, to be fair, you already know it. Yes, in a 4/4, the first part is the strong, the second part is the weak, the weakest. Even the groupings, when we study the 4/4, remember that there's always like an imaginary line dividing the rhythms, yes, the beaming, yes, of the rhythm. So this is not a new concept. Into this main division of 2 minutes from week, there is a subdivision which consists in giving the first and the third crotchets of the bar, the first of each subgroup of minutes, a stronger presence within the beat. So first crotchet, third crotchet. Now, which crotchet is the strongest of the whole bar? Easy question. The first one or the third one? Laura.
The first one.
Exactly. Yeah. Very simple. This is not a new concept. As in the first and second species, the first note must be a consonant, and the second species rules apply. We will start on the second crotchet of the bar, so second crotchet of the bar. Yeah? With either an octave, a unison, or fifth. If the cantus firmus is located on the lower voice, and in an octave or unison if the cantus firmus is located on the upper voice. The same thing as the second species, nothing new. The only thing is we start on against the semi-brief on the second crotchet of the bar with the consonant. The final note, as in the previous pieces, will be note against note, in this case, semi-briefs. So two semi-briefs, tonic, as in the first pieces. All right? We will apply two types of non-consonant intervals. The passing note, already presented on the second species, which works the voice progression as it allows to move in a continuous melodic line from one note to another, providing directional motion, is what we discussed just now, the passing note. Remember that the passing notes are all the same, can be dissonant, which provides directional motion, yes, or consonant. Yeah. For example, if you have a fifth and you have a sixth against the cantus firmus, that's a passing note, and it's a consonant. Yeah. It's not as strong as the dissonant because it doesn't provide the directional motion, but you can use it, of course, in crotchets. Neighbor note, this is a new one, that prolongs the value of a note through an embellishment. This resource will allow us to work the concept of prolongation, which was coined by Felix Salzer. Yeah, we already quoted this composer. Prolongation. Yes, we have to hold here a little bit because this is the whole purpose of the third species, let's say. In the third species, we encounter this powerful concept that will serve us not only in these pieces, but in composition in general, or analysis as well. As we will see that the neighboring note has a vital function, as Salzer says. It delays or retards the ultimate melodic progression without halting local melodic activity. So it stays there, it's not a halt, not just a stop. It stays there a little while, yes, just delays a little bit the ultimate melodic progression. So at some point the melody progresses, but this is a little delay, without halting, without stopping. Stopping will be what? Let's say in music, which will be the sign of halt. Dora, yes.
You mean like a fermata?
A fermata can be. Yes, very good. Fermata can be. And if we have to translate that fermata in values, note values.
Like a rest?
A rest, very good. Yes. Or just a long note. That's halting. Yes. In a cadence, why do we have semi-briefs? Halt. Yeah, that's the end. We are not going to end a cadence. I know it sounds obvious, yes, but you will never end on a semiquaver. Taka, 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 taka. We'll never do that, unless you want a surprise, of course, yes, but you will never do that. So this, instead of halt, yeah, rest, fermata, longer values, it just stays that it retards, delays, generating a local activity without halting. That's the third species. That's the concept of prolongation. And this is also a good thing that you, Laura, you learn, because then you will see in the music sheet, in the music scores, what's the intention of the composer, how long it stays in one note, and then one chord. Yes, this is extremely common in music, extremely. Shankar was the one that kind of discovered this, or at least he designed a methodology. I think it was already there intuitively. Yeah. Okay, so the prolongation implies a certain standstill in the voice progression. In the voice progression, not in the melody, in the voice progression. That's why it's a standstill, because it doesn't progress. It doesn't progress, sorry. It is defined by a sound that comes from a harmonic consonant, moves a step forward or downward from that note, and comes back the same way by step to the same note. That is the definition of this prolongation or neighboring note. From a harmonic note, it goes upward or downward from that note, creating a dissonant interval against the cantus firmus, and then goes back by stepwise to the same note from which it came from, which it has to be a consonant as well. That's the neighbor. It can be consonant or dissonant against the cantus firmus. When it is consonant against the cantus firmus, it's called a real sound. Then we will see this, because the third species can be reduced to the second species and the first species as well. So when a neighboring note is consonant and not dissonant, it belongs to the harmony, let's say, in counterpoint. So it's called a real sound. The latter is vital for the voice leading, as it is considered a pillar on which the melody line stands. The neighboring note can serve to change the direction of the musical discourse. From it, the direction of the melodic progression can change through this resource. It's a very good resource to change the melodic pattern. Yes? You see an example here. For example, this is the example of Felix Salzer. Careful with the alto clef. Yes, this is a middle C. So you have from here, this is an incomplete bar, the same. Yes, just an example. But always the first crochet of every bar, always the first crochet of every bar has to be a consonant, by the way. The first crochet of every bar has to be a consonant. Never, never, ever a dissonance. Ever. Not ever. That is very important. Now, the second and the fourth, yes, even the third crochet can be a dissonance. Yes. But sparing. Yes. So in this case, always the second crochet. If you see, you have either the fourth, the second, yes, the fourth, the seventh, the ninth. They're always on the second crochet. Yeah. And then from here, imagine that if we will continue this line, instead of going downwards, we're going to go upwards. That's why the neighboring is a very easy way, yes, to change the direction of the musical discourse. Yeah. Consonant neighboring notes. The alternation of two adjacent consonants, for example, the perfect fifth and the sixth, can produce a consonant neighboring note, as in the case of the second species with the consonant passing notes. This particular case, as per its vertical stability, can happen freely along with the counterpoint. Yeah? Why? Because if you create, remember that freely, because it's a real sound. If it's a dissonance, we have to see why we want to create so many dissonances in the discourse. Yeah? It's not risky to do it, to have a consonant neighboring note. Yes? Double neighboring notes. It is the combination between upper and lower neighbor notes around a real sound. The double neighboring note amplifies the concept of prolongation in the melody. We can see this happen whenever various sounds make a melodic turn that starts and returns from and to a real sound. This phenomenon is called embellishment. For the latter to happen, we should use a combination between passing notes, neighboring notes, and double neighboring notes, let's say. Yes, the embellishment is a combination, not just You cannot do it just with one resource. Yeah. Now in this case you have real notes. Imagine this is a treble clef. Yes, the same. You have a D against a D, so you have octave. D as well. So these are the real notes. Low, lower than the real sound, higher, coming back. And this is, what is this? What is the E doing there?
Is it acting as a passing note?
There you go, very good. Same case here, G and E, 6. D, is this a dissonance? No, it's a fifth. F, yes, it's a dissonance. So you can alternate. Yeah, in this case, the first case, both were dissonances. The C was a 7th, the E was a 9th against the D. Now in the second case, G was a consonant, F was a dissonance, also possible. Yeah. And then, well, the discourse remains. Now, this is not a cambiata, okay? We are not going to see cambiatas. If someone knows maybe harmony or something, well, we're not going to see that, okay? Cambiata is something very similar to this, but not the same. Just saying, we're not going to see that, yeah? Because the cambiata is more, let's say, more, it's in the treatise of Fuchs, by the way, yeah, but it's kind of a style. It's not a generic thing, yes? It looks very similar, yeah, but there are very specific rules, and this is not the case, yeah? Okay, so as a rule, the idiom sounds smoothest if the upper neighbor, if the upper neighbor precedes the lower. As a rule, if you want a smooth, yes, neighboring, okay? So the idiom, yes, this is idiomatic. Smoothest if the upper neighbor precedes the lower. So first high, then low, yes, which is in this case, right, well, there you go, sorry. Upper neighbor, there you go. In this configuration, the higher, more obtrusive sound comes on the weaker part of the beat, yes, on the weaker beat. It is best if one of the neighbors is a semitone from the principal tone. If both lie one tone away, the melodic connection may become somewhat weakened. So this is a fine-tuning, yes, in the species. Take into account, sometimes you can't. Yes, if one semitone and one is a tone. Well, this is the best case scenario. Yes, sometimes we can't, but try. So if you have, for example, let's say, in this case, you have D against F, the third, fourth away, yeah, tone away from F. Then you have a D against an E, semitone away from the F, coming back. So you have third, fourth, second, third. But G is again one tone away from the F, E is a semitone away from the F and coming back. It's a good example. Yeah? In this case, you have G and B, so it's the third. B, C half step, then A is a tone away from B, yeah, and is a second away from G. So if you see, you have two dissonances, a fourth against a G and a second against a G, and then a third coming back. Another example that is okay. And the third, when you have an E against a G, the third, fourth against the cantus firmus, a tone away from the melodic line. Down we go. This is the whole step. This is not the best case scenario, but it is allowed. Yes. And then coming back to the third. Yes. Now, this is kind of a real example. real music. Chopinitude, Opus 10, number 4. So this is pretty much used. Yes, the double neighbor is ubiquitous in music. Yes, if you see here, you have this design, which is repeated. Yes, from the second. Let's say that, of course, is this could it this be considered a third species? In this minimal expression. I know it's a tricky one.
The fourth species.
The third species. Third
species. Does it mean how many notes against what though?
There you go. That's why I asked. Yes. So this is an example because it's 4 notes against 1. Maybe you see a quaver and say, no, but wait, but this is 2 notes against 1. No, it's the same. The
Okay.
fact that it's a shorter note, but the memory, yes, there's no newer events that determines a new note against, yes.
So we take it crochet there as a bar that we study now.
The crochet does the
because now we see a bar.
exactly. There you go.
Okay.
Exactly. So the crochet will be the whole bar, the semi-brief that we said before, and each one of the crotchets is a semiquaver. That's why at the beginning of the counterpoint, that yes, I said is 4 against 1. It doesn't matter the value. Now, in this case, to study, okay, to study this, we need to establish, like even visually, yes, one pattern, one semibrief, 4 crochets, yes. But then remember that music is fractal in nature. It can go small, 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 or big, 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 big. Yes, this organization in bars, in which in a 4/4 you have 1, 2, 3, 4 crochets, and the first one is the strongest, weak, semi-strong, let's say, weak, also happens the same, and we know that happens the same in a bar of 4/4, and each beat, you have the first beat is the strongest, the third beat is the semi-strong, but within that beat, if you continue to subdivide, the first semiquaver is stronger, the second is weak, the third one is semi-strong, and the fourth one is weak. We know that in music. So it's fractal in nature. That's why counterpoint applies to everything. Yes, this is an example of counterpoint. Yeah, and that's why it's so good because you can apply it to everything. Even these rules in counterpoint. Yes, keep your mind open because and remember this fractal nature, because then you will see this concept of prolongation. You can see it in 4 bars and 4 bars, and this is something that it has to it really influences the form. Even these rules, yes. If you take one single crochet, let's say, or beat as 4 bars, yes, and then 4 bars, and 4 bars are the strongest, or 2 bars are strong and 2 bars are weak. Even you have already seen it in caping. When you have 8 bars, and the subdivision is 4 plus 4 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So you have like 8 bars, yes, and you have a main subdivision of 4 plus 4, but that 4 is 2 plus 2, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, everything has to do with everything, yeah. Now, this is a very good example, yes, of double neighboring, yes, in which you have, if you see, you have, which note would be the cantus firmus, the F sharp or the A? Here.
The F sharp.
And why do you support that idea?
Because we perceive the, how do you call them? The lower and the higher.
The low note, yeah.
The lower and the higher is the right hand.
We perceive the lower.
Yes, the A is a middle voice. We don't perceive that.
Exactly. So the bass.
Yes.
Even if in this case, I mean, which is so, I mean, the text is very narrow. Yes. All the same, the F sharp is the bass. That's a cantus firmus. Yes. The A is not a counterpoint. The A is, we call it doubling. Yes. Remember, in harmony, we really have seen this. Yes. When we put octaves or something, when we're doing the reductions, remember, they said this is not a real voice. This is a doubling. So F sharp, why? Because you have F sharp as 6 against the D, E 7, first dissonance, jump, yes? To a consonance, that's true, so true. And then 6 again, but basically it's prolonging the D. Now E with E, octave, F, second, D, 7th, we have, in this case, 2 dissonances, return. D with F, we have a third, G, fourth, jump to the second, F again. So basically the idea is 6, if you see just the verticality of this passage, 6, octave, third, and then fifth. That would be which pieces? If you just play the D, that's it.
You mean if you play the real note?
Exactly.
The first pieces?
Yes. And this is something that the third piece, can be reduced. That's what we call reduction. Reduction of the later pieces. It can be reduced into simpler ones. First or second pieces. We're going to see a couple of examples now. Yeah. In the first lessons of counterpoint, I quoted one of the things that Eduardo Keki, one of the a couple of examples is from his book, actually. Yes, Counterpoint and Polyphony. He says something about remember the structure and the expression, the what and the how. The first or the second lesson in counterpoint. In the third piece, we start to see this concept. It's a very, very powerful concept in music. The structure, the what, would be the first pieces. Yes, I have to tell you this. Okay, this F with the D, it has to go to C and G, and it has to move. That's a structure. Now, how am I going to do this? Is that the expression of the structure? The structure was this. A contra emotion, if you see, F and D, E and E, D and F, C and G. That's the structure. That is the what. I need to go from F and D to C and G. That is what I need to do. Yes? In contra emotion. Now, how are we going to do that? The expression that this structure will take, that is what we start to grasp with the third pieces. Yeah? The concept of how we're going to do this. Is that clear? Yeah? Do you see this structure, Laura? I mean, concept. Yeah, because it's not so easy to grasp at the beginning, at least. Rules and examples. Unison. As in the second species, the unison should be at the beginning or the end of the counterpoint. In the case of the third species, unisons can also occur throughout, but never on the strong beat, first beat of the bar. It can only be approached and continue in oblique motion. So at the beginning, at the end, yes. In the middle, never on the first beat, because the first beat, we already said, is this strong melodic position, very important, and takes out the attention of the counterpoint. Yes, it's too noticeable to put a unison. Yeah, and it can only be approached and continue in oblique motion. What was oblique? Yeah, what is oblique motion?
One voice playing the same, one voice will.
There you go. There you go. Just checking. Fifth octaves and unisons. Parallel fifths, octaves, and unisons are forbidden. The correct distance between them must be 3 notes between them. Some exception may apply if the melodic line demands it, for example, in between the second beat and the first beat of the following bar, but always as exceptions, not a rule. Yes, if you have the second crochet, 2 more crochets, so third and fourth crochet, yes, and the first crochet of the following bar. That is a kind of an exception, let's say, yes. Or the third crochet with the second crochet. So basically 2 crochets in the middle. Yeah, 2 beats in the middle.
So that's an exception for what?
Exception for fifths, octaves, and units parallel. Parallel fifths, parallel octaves, parallel units. Yeah. So 3 crochets in between. That's enough. Yes. Good. A little more if you want. Yes, but at least. And then 2 crochets as an exception. You have to really give me a very good reason why. Yes, you have a fifth there. Yeah. Melodic lips. This species offers a quicker rate of motion in the counterpoint line, so some guidelines are needed. Any disruption on the melodic line is caused by disjunct movements, such as leaps or fifths or greater. Yeah. Greater intervals, sixths and sevenths. Yeah. They should be employed sparingly. Yeah. Please, this is very important. Yes. So because of the quicker rate of motion, we're not moving, yes, in minutes anymore. We're going, yes, it's 4 notes against 1. The leaps of intervals greater than fifths, yes, please use it wisely. Yes, don't start to go on 6th and 5th and 4th, and because that is not advisable, really. Yeah. 2 consecutive leaps or skip and leap should be avoided. That's to say, any interval that comprises a seventh between 2 consecutive notes. Okay, so leaps, leaps, skip. You know that this is also not good because it gives you a chord. And skip, leap, or leap, skip. Yeah. So no. Melodic leaps that continue the direction of immediately preceding stepwise motion must be treated as follows. Leap should coincide with a change in direction. It is possible to leap in the same direction as a good effect after 2 or 3 conjunct notes. Again, it is possible to leap in the same direction as a good effect after 2 or 3 conjuncts, so stepwise. Yes, motion notes. After a group of more than 3 stepwise notes, however, the leap in the same direction will cause an unbalanced effect. The latter can be worsened if it is done by a metrical position from the fourth to the first beats. So you have from the fourth to the first, always to the first is something that is noticeable. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 notes and then a leap. That's quite poor melodic wise. Yes, if you have 4 and then a skip, that's much better. Yes, changing in direction on the first to the first beats of the bar are quite good. But when it changes direction, when you have 2 notes maybe and then a leap, that's better. Climax. The highest melodic point or climax should always be consonant, regardless of the beats it is located. Consonant. Never a dissonance against the counterpoint. Okay, because it's a real note. It's something that is structural, that you arrive to. It cannot never be a dissonance. Yeah. Therefore, a neighboring note consonant, a neighboring note, and the consonant one can be a pivotal point. Yeah. It is paramount to achieve a balanced and organic effect to organize the total melodic line ahead and set a plan accordingly. This is more important than ever. Set a plan, yes, before you start. For better results, it is advisable to have 1 or 2 subsidiary climaxes before or after the main one. That is what I will ask. The subsidiary climaxes usually are the intervallic relationship between them is by step. So you have, let's say you have the first climax, the first highest note is G, then you have A, and then the proper climax is B. Or G, A, C, so you jump, that's a surprise. But then, that's why he says, subsidiary climaxes before or after, then you have B. Yes, you have G, A, C, and then you put the B. Yes, in the distance. And that's why he says, please set the plan accordingly. Yes, organize the effect of the total melodic line. Doing one by one by one by one crochet is going to take you nowhere with these pieces. Endings. Yes, sorry. Embellishments applied to the climax is also good advice. It is considered part of the same statement as a prolongation of the highest note. Yeah. Now, something I didn't say, but it's important. In other words, the risk to obtain a shapeless or undirected line. Yes, if you don't plan ahead. Endings. The endings work as the second or first pieces. The counterpoint must finish with the leading note on the fourth beat against the supertonic, the semi-brief. Yeah, remember supertonic in the cantus firmus, leading tone in the counterpoint. The last part will be in octaves or unison on the tonic degree, in semi-briefs. Yes, the last part. Yeah. If the music is in the minor mode, the melodic ascending scale is needed in the counterpoint voice. Yes, now that we are in harmony, we are the weavers. Because we're going to do a couple of several exercises, yes, in major and in minor, so we can use the same rules, the voice leading rules, yes, can apply. Examples. In the following example, we can see a double neighboring note. Yes, let me change you. 1 second, please. I have to keep you. Okay, there you go. In the following example, we can see double neighboring notes in brackets. Okay, so brackets, double neighboring notes. Embellishments, yes, so double neighboring notes here, here, yeah. Embellishments with slurs, slur, slur. And then dotted slurs, you have represent prolongations, as this one. The phenomenon called reduction is located on the upper staff, this one, and denotes the voice leading by eliminating all the resources aforementioned. So we do a reduction to the first and the second species. Okay? Now, see clearly. Well, this is in F major, obviously. Yeah? You see that you start with a consonant, in this case an octave, okay, on the second beat, consonant. Rule number 1. You end with supertonic on the cantus firmus and the leading note on the fourth crotchet, and then semi-breeze on the last one. Now in this case, if you see, you have, how can we reduce, or how can this is reduced, this species? It's perfectly reduced to the second species, because it goes from this note, the octave, to a consonant. Yes. The only thing is that now we have, if you see, you have this not neighboring. This is not a proper neighboring, but it's a change of direction through the D. Yes. But it's prolonging the same note, basically. Yeah. Now, example of double neighboring. Yes. You have a third, a fourth, a second, and then a third again. And that's why this is a phenomenon of prolongation. When you reduce it, you're reducing the C. First species. But in this case, that's remember, that's the structure and the expression. Structurally is the C. We express it through this. More or less clear? Now we have changes in direction. Yes, if you see look at the relationship between the fourth part, yes, structurally, and then you have a fourth part on the first pieces, melodically. Now, the leap is the most important, the most relative, yes, the most important feature of the part, yes. D, prolonged, yes. The leap changes abruptly the range of the melody, yes. Clearly here you have one range through a leap change to the range. You see that it stayed a little bit more on that range. They have one range, F to C, leap of a fifth, and then it change the range of the melody up to the climax here. So it's not that it's a leap and then another leap and then another leap. No, it's thought. Yes, you say, okay, I'm starting here through a leap, then I will dwell a little bit more because I need the climax to be here. Subsidiary climaxes are A, B, C, D. So there is a melodic, yes, sense. Okay. Now, which was the dotted slur? Remember, you have neighboring, double neighboring, brackets. embellishments with slurs, embellishment, and prolongations. Yes. If you see, you have the prolongations because it's just the A that's neighboring, and then it skips, but actually the A goes to the G. This F, despite the fact it's a skip, doesn't add anything structurally. Yeah. Now, embellishment. This is a proper embellishment. Skip of a third, going back. Or stepwise motion, skip of a third, going back to the note. This is proper embellishment. And it's so common in music that I think you got tired of seeing this. Yes. Yeah. But it has a plan. And again, the relationship between the structure and the expression. It has a plan. F, G, A. So embellishment, prolongation, yes, double neighboring, or G, embellishment, target note. You see, first pieces of counterpoint. Yeah. Now, notice that whenever you have a leap, yes, in this case, for example, or in this case, or in this case of in the first pieces, you have reduction to the second species, because remember the second species, the leaps or the skips, and more the leaps, are very dramatic, let's say, in music. Whenever you have these skips or double neighborings, you're prolonging something. When you change the direction of the melody, you're doing something quite dramatic. You're changing even the species, from the first species to the second. So, again, yes, try to use the skips or the leaps, yeah, wisely, yeah, wisely. And in the minor mode, you have kind of the same thing. The only thing is that if you see you have G minor, careful with it again, yes, with the cantus firmus, because it's a viola with a G, yeah. And then at the end, you will have the A supertonic, G tonic, and then you can perfectly have this setting, yes, leading tone, tonic, 6-degree raised, 7-degree raised, tonic, yeah. So this is something that we are going to use, yes, this kind of formula. So at the end, you see that it kind of is let's say that it's similar to the chapter 5 in harmony of Schoenberg. Remember, Schoenberg says, well, if you're going to use the raise and the 6th and the 7th notes raised, be sure to do it at the cadence. Well, in the counterpoint, these rules apply as well. You can, if you see the whole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost the whole exercise, he doesn't use any raised notes, just in the cadence. So, same rule applies. Yes, same rule applies. Now, hello again. Any doubts? No, because there are much more rules now. Yes, and there are many rules. Yes, what it happens in counterpoints is that as you go along and more and more and more, you have more rules, more rules, more rules. Yes, is less restrictive. Like in the first pieces, in the first piece you can't do anything. Yes, and they said, oh, this is typical, you cannot do anything. Well, now you can do a lot of things, and you're going to see that it's more difficult. So, I'm going to give you the cantus firmus for the assignment. We're going to see, let's see what we can do. I mean, ideally, we have to do one in minor, one in major. Yeah. But let's see if we can do 1 week and 1 week. Yeah. 1 week in major, 1 week in minor. We're going to see a little bit of examples of the literature. Yes. Like real life examples. Yes, like with the one we see with Chopin, the Etude number 7. Yeah. And but you have yes, and the counterpoint is given. Yeah. All the material I'm going to give is separate. Yes.